Appearance. I would answer in such a way so that I could, apropos, explain to you also what I've already several times promised you to explain. That is to say, about the fundamental cosmic laws by which our present world is maintained, and on the basis of which it exists. And this, moreover, should be done, because if both of these questions are taken together, only then will you have all-round material for a complete representation and exhaustive understanding about this holy planet Purgatory, and at the same time learn something more about the three-brained beings who have interested you and who arise on the planet Earth. I wish to give you also now as many clear and detailed explanations as possible concerning this holy planet, as sooner or later you will have to know about this, because every responsible three-brained being of our universe, irrespective of the nature of the causes and place of his arising, and also of the form of his exterior coating, will ultimately have to learn about everything concerning this holy planet. And he must know all this in order to strive to exist in that direction which corresponds just to the aim and sense of existence, which striving is the objective lot of every three-brained being in whom, whatever the causes might be, the germ arises for the coating of a higher being body. And so, my boy, first of all, I must once more, and in great detail, repeat that our endlessness was forced to create the whole world which now exists at the present time. In the beginning, when nothing yet existed, and when the whole of our universe was empty, endless space, with the presence of only the prime source cosmic substance etherokrilno, our present most great and most holy Son Absolute existed alone in all this empty space. And it was on this, then, sole cosmic concentration that our unibeing Creator, with his cherubim and seraphim, had the place of his most glorious being. It was just during this same period of the flow of time that there came to our Creator All-Maintainer the forced need to create our present existing megalocosmos, i.e., our world. From the third most sacred canticle of our cherubim and seraphim, we were worthy of learning that our Creator Omnipotent once ascertained that this same Son Absolute on which he dwelt, with his cherubim and seraphim, was, although almost imperceptibly, yet nevertheless gradually diminishing in volume. As the fact ascertained by him appeared to him very serious, he then decided immediately to review all the laws which maintained the existence of that then still sole cosmic concentration. During this review, our omnipotent Creator, for the first time, made it clear that the cause of this gradual diminishing of volume of the Son Absolute was merely the hero pass, that is, the flow of time itself. Thereupon, our endlessness became thoughtful, for in his divine deliberations, he became clearly aware that if this hero pass should so continue to diminish the volume of the Son Absolute, then sooner or later it would ultimately bring about the complete destruction of this sole place of his being. And so, my boy, in view of this, our endlessness was then just compelled to take certain corresponding measures, so that from this hero pass, the destruction of our most holy Son Absolute could not eventually occur. Further again, from the sacred canticle of our cherubim and seraphim, but this time the fifth sacred canticle, we were worthy of learning that after this divine ascertainment of his, our endlessness devoted himself entirely to finding a possibility of averting such an inevitable end, which had to occur according to the lawful commands of the merciless hero pass, and that after his long divine deliberations, he decided to create our present existing megalocosmos. In order that you may more clearly understand how our endlessness decided to attain immunity from the maleficent action of the merciless hero pass, and of course how he ultimately actualized it all, you must first of all know that before this, the most holy Son Absolute was maintained and existed on the basis of the system called auto-egocrat, i.e., on that principle according to which the inner forces which maintained the existence of this cosmic concentration had an independent functioning, not depending on any forces proceeding from outside, and which were based also on those two fundamental cosmic sacred laws by which at the present time also the whole of our present megalocosmos is maintained, and on the basis of which it exists, and namely, on the basis of those two fundamental primordial sacred cosmic laws called the sacred Heptaparaparshanoch and the sacred Triamazikamno. About both of these fundamental cosmic primordial sacred laws I have already once told you a little. Now, however, I shall try to explain to you about them in rather more detail. The first of these fundamental primordial cosmic sacred laws, namely the law of Heptaparaparshanoch, present-day objective cosmic science, by the way, formulates in the following words: the line of the flow of forces constantly deflecting according to law and uniting again at its ends. This sacred primordial cosmic law has 7 deflections, or as it is still otherwise said, 7 centers of gravity. And the distance between each 2 of these deflections or centers of gravity is called a stopinder of the sacred Heptaparaparshanoch. This law, passing through everything newly arising and everything existing, always makes its completing processes with its 7 stopinders. And in regard to the second primordial fundamental cosmic law, and namely the sacred Triamazikamno, common cosmic objective science also formulates with the words, a new arising from the previously arisen through the Harnel Miatznel, the process of which is actualized thus: the higher blends with the lower in order to actualize the middle, and thus becomes either higher for the preceding lower, or lower for the succeeding higher. And as I already told you, this sacred Triamazikamno consists of 3 independent forces, which are called the first, Serp Othios, the second, Serp Skiros, the third, Serp Atanotos, which 3 holy forces of the sacred Triamazikamno the said science calls as follows: the first, the affirming force, or the pushing force, or simply the force plus; the second, the denying force, or the resisting force, or simply the force minus; and the third, the reconciling force, or the equilibrating force, or the neutralizing force. At this place of my explanations concerning chiefly the fundamental laws of world creation and world maintenance, it is interesting to notice, by the way, that the 3-brained beings of this planet which has taken your fancy already began at that period when the consequences of the properties of the organ Kundabuffer were not yet crystallized in their common presences to be